Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take a cleaning business and break it down into every single little part you need to do in order to start either a residential or commercial cleaning business. I'm breaking it down as easy as possible. I'm going to provide as many links as I can below and start from an approach from someone who has no idea how to start a business. So I'm going to cover things like choosing the right entity type, what type of business you want to go into, pricing structure, employees, insurance and tax requirements, tons of marketing ideas, where to go to run credit card payments, what kind of credit cards you should get, the best bank accounts. Literally everything you could possibly ask on how to start a cleaning business, I'm going to cover in this video. So let's get right into it. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is setting a budget. Now, this is going to vary whether you want to start a residential or commercial cleaning service. And I will say most companies tend to start at the residential level and then transition to commercial once they have their systems, employees, and a general idea in place. Not to say you can't start with commercial. And with commercial, you do make more money on the high end. Those are the companies that are making revenues in the possible millions a year and up much easier. So on the residential side, you're looking at some basic permits and licensing depending on the state and the entity type that you want to start. This could range anywhere from like $50 to $200 to get that going. Some basic insurance requirements, the low end of $500 a year to $3,500 a year on the commercial end. That's depending on how many employees you have in the company. Your basic cleaning materials and products, this could range anywhere from around $200 to $600 to get going, depending on how inclusive you want to be and how much you want to cover right away. That can be done on the lower end. And then some basic advertising expense, which you'd be looking at around $100 to $200 just for a basic starter to get going, some marketing materials like business cards, flyers, and whatnot. And then if you're looking to have employees, expect to pay around $12 to $15 an hour per employee. I recommend paying on the higher end. That way you get higher quality employees right away, right from the get-go. Makes a world of a difference to have wonderful employees at your establishment. You can pay on the lower end, but you get what you pay for. So as you can see, the barrier to entry here is pretty low on the residential side. Things can be started for under $1,000 on the commercial side. You could be looking at a few $1,000s depending on how intensive you want to be with it. You could potentially spend a lot if you wanted to get customized vehicles and, go all out right away, which I don't recommend. I recommend starting small, proving the concept, proving that you like doing this business, and then investing more and more money into expenses as you go on and as you get cash flows coming in. The next step is choosing the right business structure, and there's two basic business structures that are most common for cleaning business, either a sole proprietorship or an LLC. With a sole proprietorship, it's cheaper, it's easier to get going, it's less complicated when it has to do with taxes, but there are definitely some disadvantages because your income is tied directly with the company's, and same with the liability. So if something happens to the company or funds of the company or there's some kind of issue, you are directly tied financially to that company, where with an LLC, there's kind of a shield around that corporate entity that is separate from you. It has a separate bank account, separate incomes. It's a fictitious entity is what they call it. So I personally use LLCs on all my companies. There are various types of LLCs like a C Corp, S Corp, which I won't get into that because that does vary what the best one is for you depending on the situation and the business. But I personally use LLCs for my businesses. Now to set these up, there's a few different ways. You can either go to the state business website in your respective state. If you search something like how to start an LLC in Arizona, for instance, on Google, and then scroll down to a .gov website, that will be the cheapest way to set it up, but those do tend to be more complicated, and sometimes they don't have online options depending on the state. Or you can use a service that's slightly more expensive but more convenient, like inkfile.com. I've gone both ways personally, depending on the state. In Arizona, it's really easy just to use the state entity, but other states aren't quite as easy. So I'll leave that up to you, and I'll leave a link below to all the websites that I reference. But that way, you're either paying for convenience or paying to figure it out yourself. So I'll leave that up to you. On to how your taxes work, this also depends on what entity type you decide to choose. With a sole proprietor, like I said, you are tied directly to that entity. Your income is the company's income, the company's income is your income. LLC is separate, but it is more confusing to file at the end of the year. And if you do choose an LLC, I recommend getting some form of accountant to go over the books with you and make sure that you're doing everything properly that way. I guess either way, if you're running a business, I recommend having an accountant at least taking a look at your books or doing the year-end thing, because it's going to save a lot of heartache. And if it's a good guy or gal who's doing your accounting, they're going to end up saving you money on taxes as well as you grow and expand, and they'll be able to suggest other service to you and help out. So if you have a good CPA as a reference to help your business, I definitely recommend that. In order to find a good CPA, I would just search online reviews. You know, their CPAs in every single city. Just search on Google best CPAs, call around, see which one you fit with. And I also recommend finding professionals who have experience in what you're doing. So if you can find an accountant or CPA that runs a service-oriented business, that's going to be the best bet, because he's going to understand the ins and outs of that business better than someone who has never had an experience in a service-based business or any other kind of business you're starting. Try and find professionals who have worked in the fields or similar fields that you're hoping to start a business in. Now on to choosing a business name. I personally think this is really important because I like owning businesses with unique names and things that stand out or sound larger than they are or sound commercial. I'm personally not a fan of business names that are the name of the owner and then the name of the service, like Jimmy's Cleaning Service, Hanson Cleaning Service, anything like that. I'm not a big fan of that. Obviously, there are a lot of people who use that kind of naming structure. I'm just not a huge fan because it doesn't catch my eye. I don't think it catches other people's eyes. So I like creative names, names that are gonna stick out and remember. Like my moving company's name is Skinny Wimp Moving. People love the name of it, especially older people. You know, we're driving by with the trucks, people point and laugh at it, you know, it's just memorable. So I recommend a memorable name. And in order to find a good name, there are certain sites that you can use to brainstorm, or what I recommend, the cheap and easy way to do it, is write down a few ideas that have to do with your cleaning business, and then just brainstorm. Literally write down every single idea you can possibly think of, no matter how good, how bad. Write up 50 of them, take an hour, 2 hours to do it, and then look back at your list, cross out the poor ones. You know, you might be left with 5 to 10 good ones, and then ask other people what they think of these names, or if they have any other name suggestions. Go from there and then kind of whittle the list down, and then also check availability, because sometimes you'll have a list of 5 that you like, 4 of them aren't available in your state, so obviously you have to go with the one. The name doesn't mean everything, but it could mean the difference between a few extra sales here and there because people like the name or it sticks out. So, and plus your identity is likely going to be tied to this name for a long time, so hopefully it's a name that you like and like being attached to. And this goes hand in hand with choosing a logo. I also like fun, creative logos. This is something you could potentially make yourself, or you can hire someone on Fiverr for like under $20 to design a logo for you. You can sketch out a really rough idea of what you're looking for, or you can give general themes and ideas and they'll make logos for you. It's super cheap and easy. I've seen it done. I know companies who have used Fiverr and literally spent under $20 and got pretty darn good logos. So I would check out that reference if you're not super creative or super able to create logos yourself. It's worth spending a couple dollars on Fiverr and at least seeing what they can offer. The next question to ask yourself is whether to franchise or not to franchise. And this kind of depends on the type of person you are and what your finances look like. So there's pros and cons to each. I personally own one franchise business and one non-franchise business, so I kind of understand the differences. With a franchise, they do cost more upfront. You're paying for the name, the systems, everything like that. But as a benefit, you are getting the name, the systems, national advertising. They understand how exactly to do marketing for their brand. Pricing will be set up. Basically, everything will be set up, and you don't need this video if you're going the franchise structure. But it could cost anywhere between $20,000 to $60,000 plus for a franchise. If you're looking to do the non-franchise route, this is for someone who's more entrepreneurial, who's able to solve problems, who isn't going to be afraid of being alone in the business, because with a franchise you have this support system, the support network. So you're going to be alone with your own business and to figure out these problems, to find resources and just figure it out. But the potential to make more profit is there because you're not going to have to pay franchise fees, advertising fees for someone else to do all of this for you. Plus, you may be able to build your own brand, possibly turn it into a franchise, turn it into something larger in the future. So there's pros and cons to each. Totally depends what your personality type is, what you're looking for, and how you want to run your business, or if you want someone looking after you, making sure the T's are crossed, I's are dotted. Completely up to you. The next step is organizing your finances and setting up the basics for your business. So this is something like getting a business bank account, which I personally have Chase Business and Wells Fargo Business, so I've had no issues with either of those. I personally think the Wells Fargo online system is a little bit better than Chase, but there's really not a difference there. In order to get a business account as an LLC, you will need to register for an EIN, which takes literally like 5 minutes online on the government website, which I will link below. You will also need your articles of incorporation, which you'll get through the state after you set up an LLC. If you have a bank account through a sole proprietorship, it'll just be under your name like any other bank account. But it is important to separate your individual bank account from your business one. That way you'll have a much easier time tracking expenses and incomes and understanding how the business is actually doing. So it's really important to separate that and make sure you're keeping track of everything. After that, I recommend getting a business credit card. That way you can get the cash back rewards. I personally have several Chase Inc. credit cards that I use, and I've had no issues with those. Every year I just basically charge it out and get a couple extra $1,000 back, so that's awesome. And I'll leave links to all this below. And full disclosure, a few of the links below are affiliate links. So what that means is the price will be the same to you, but I might get a little bit of money in return, but I will not refer something that I have not personally used or don't personally use and recommend. So just so you know. The next thing to set up is a credit card processor. I think the easiest one to set up and use is Square. I use that for a few of my businesses, and it literally takes like 15 minutes to set up. So square.com, I think that's the way to go for that one. So onto insurance, and this is a topic that has a lot of questions and misunderstanding to it. So I'll start with the residential side. You need less insurance for the residential side, but I do recommend getting a bond and basic general liability insurance. What a bond does is it covers in case someone pays for a service and then doesn't receive that service. So it's more of just like an assurance to the customers. Some customers like to see that their cleaning companies are bonded. Now, this isn't a requirement in every state, so you'll want to check your specific state's requirement if you need these, but they are recommended because it'll be a little bit easier to land clients, especially more higher end or the pickier type clients. With commercial cleaning services, a higher level of insurance and bonds is required. A lot of larger buildings will require you to submit a COI, which is a certificate of insurance, to them before they even consider you doing work for them. And also, depending on the state, there are certain bond requirements or janitorial surety bond requirements depending on the state. In order to figure out which ones you need for your state, you can go to the SBA, Small Business Association website, which I'll link below, and it tells you which licenses and requirements you need depending on the state and area that you're in. These bonds basically cover the same thing. It's assurance to the customer that if they pay for a service and it doesn't happen, they'll be reimbursed for it, or if there's damages that happen, they'll be reimbursed. Now on to employees. If you have employees, either in the residential or commercial space, you need workers' compensation insurance. For commercial, it's probably a little bit higher requirements, but no matter what, if you have employees, you need this insurance. And it's important that you have it because if any accidents happen to your employees, they get injured or anything like that, you want them covered, because that's the kind of expense that has the possibility to be insanely high. If someone gets injured and they can't work anymore, you could be looking at claims in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you want workers' comp, and that's something that's very rigorously checked on, even compared to other types of insurance. So find a local insurance broker, or I'll recommend one down below, to set you up with workers' compensation, your bonds, and any other requirements for your local municipality. Now on to the supplies. Now this is something that has a wide range of prices that you can possibly spend or budgets you can spend on things. So I recommend purchasing fewer things in the beginning, but purchase high quality versions of things. Because remember, you're gonna be using these supplies all the time. It's not like the broom in your house, which you might use, once a day or once every few days. You're gonna be using this multiple times a day. So you want things that are durable and you're gonna get your money's worth. So here's a list of items that you could potentially get to get your cleaning business started. You don't need all of them. It all depends on the kinds of services that you might offer. But here's an idea of certain things that you might need. A cleaning uniform with pockets so you can carry things around much easier, window cleaner, paper towels, cloths, latex gloves, a duster, a sponge, scrubbing brushes, a vacuum, disinfectants, sponges and scourers, yellow dusters and microfiber cloths, a mop and bucket, a dustpan and brush, protective gloves, a little plastic caddy to carry supplies around from room to room once you're in the home, descalers, degreasers, oven cleaners, bleach, sanitizer, laundry detergent in case you want to offer that service. So just break it down and think about the services you're going to offer. I recommend starting with fewer services, getting good at those, then expanding. Start with house cleaning, then expand to carpet cleaning, window cleaning, that kind of thing. But if you do extras, obviously charge for the extras. So I'm going to link below some of the high quality supplies that I recommend. You can just buy them from a local dollar store, Amazon, wherever you want to purchase them. Anything will do to start. Like I said, there's a low barrier to entry, so do it however you feel is the best way to do it. So on to rates and setting up your business model. So for residential cleaning, there's basically two ways that companies do this. They either charge an hourly rate or flat prices depending on the size of the home. I'm partial to hourly rates personally because I think that they're super simple. With an hourly rate, you know that the customer's not going to get screwed with price, you're not going to get screwed with price. So I'm partial to that, an all-inclusive hourly rate. I think it's super simple. Hourly rates for residential cleaning range anywhere from $40 to $100 an hour. If you're looking at flat rates, obviously that varies quite wildly, anywhere from $150 to $400, and this scales depending on the frequency in which you're cleaning and the size of the home, the condition of the home. If it's a one-time cleaning, I recommend bumping up the flat rate price by around 35%. If it's a move-out cleaning, which is a super deep clean, I recommend nearly doubling it or bumping up the price by around 80% because you're gonna be doing a lot more intensive work and dealing with a lot more cleaning in that case and a higher standard because they're selling their home. Obviously, there's successful companies who do both. I'm just personally partial to the hourly rate, but you can do it either way. I do think it might be slightly easier to sell with flat rates because customers know a guarantee. Until you build up a name and reputation, it might be easier to sell with flat rates. But there's a potential to walk into a disastrous home and be out some money. So with commercial cleaning, a lot of times you're either charging an hourly rate or a rate depending on the square footage. So the hourly rate is the same anywhere between $40 and $100 an hour for basic cleaning services. If you're doing deep clean type services or some kind of specialty cleaning or anything having to do with potentially hazardous materials, you could be looking at 50% more to 100% more depending on the situation there. For the square footage price, which I prefer for the commercial side, you're looking anywhere from 4 cents per square foot up to around 20 cents per square foot. On the low end at around 4 cents, you're looking at your basic office facility that's very large, something that's around like 40,000 square foot and carpeted, a ton of space, but because there's so much space, you can't charge quite as much per square foot. And this is a place that you really want to land because the contract will be huge with the potential of thousands per month from one single location. And then up to 20 cents per square foot, which would be like smaller offices or offices that need particular cleaning or specialty services. Something under 2,000 square feet that would be around that range. I definitely recommend going in person and quoting out these places instead of just doing it over the phone because you don't want to be locked into something that is a potential bad deal. But with the commercial side, there's a huge potential because you can get a few clients and have the potential to earn a ton of money per month reoccurring. The thing about some commercial spaces though, they may not pay the same as certain residential customers where they're willing to pay cash or check or credit card. They may have a net 30, net 60, where you do your service, you're not going to get paid for a while. So that's something that you need to be able to afford upfront and wait for payment. So that's another thing to consider on the commercial side, especially for larger accounts for much larger companies. Another great way to determine rates is call around local competitors in the area you're looking to service and get a baseline of prices. Your competitors are going to know what to charge and have a better idea of the local area than you are right away. But I recommend pricing on the higher end of that scale, because you don't want to be the cleaner who's always competing on price, because there's always going to be other competitors who are willing to undercut that, who hire illegal employees, who offer poor service. So the customers who want someone who's going to charge $20 an hour, those aren't even your customers, so don't even worry about those people. You want to be in the higher end so you can have better margins and more ability to sustain your business and hire better employees. But in order to be on the higher end, you need to offer the best service possible. So you need to constantly be seeking out little customer service gems on how you can absolutely treat your customers the best and get them to refer their friends, because they are paying a premium. They're paying much more than the companies who are hiring people under the table or doing illegal practices and things like that. So make it worth their while. I personally like giving little gifts, because you're going to be at these customers' homes either weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and if you give things you didn't say you were going to offer, they're going to be wowed. So if you do little things like, leaving a couple chocolates on the bed, leaving a thank you note on the countertop, little customer service gems like that go a long way, and it gives them a reason to tell their friends, which is just free advertising for you and just general good business practices. Everyone knows what a good business looks like, but doing the small everyday actions that it takes to run an excellent business is a whole different story. So just think about what an excellent 10-star cleaning business looks like, and then emulate that and do it every single day, and it'll be hard to fail. So let's move on to the fun part, marketing. I'm going to start with my favorite form of marketing, which is offline marketing. It's my favorite currently because I think so many people are spending all their money on online advertising, to where offline is kind of giving the shift where you're going to get a better return on investment for every dollar you spend offline. So my personal favorite way to do offline advertising is just simply building connections with people who are able to refer my company to their current clients. So think about people who are dealing with people maybe moving into new homes or any other kind of transition in their life. You might be able to work with moving companies who are dealing with people who are moving out and they need a move-out cleaning service done, or real estate agents who know people are moving to new homes and maybe their old cleaner doesn't service that area, or they're from out of town, or any other reason, and they refer your service to their customers as a little extra tool in their tool belt. So constantly seek out people who are dealing with people who might be in congruent industries to yours and can refer them. Talk to those people and tell them about their business. Make the conversation about them, make them like you as a person, and make them want to refer your company. And then if they do, make sure you take care of them. Drop off little gifts every once in a while. Call them and say thanks for the referral. Make sure that they know that they're appreciated. That way you build on that relationship and it becomes a reoccurring source. And you can do a similar thing with your own clients by just offering amazing service and giving them reasons to talk about your company to their friends and family and anyone they come in contact with. So like I said before, little service gems, give them a reason to talk about your company. That is a wonderful way of marketing, and it's pretty cheap when you compare it to how much it costs for one click on Google or Yelp or Facebook or anything like that. Another form of offline marketing that I've found a lot of success with is just simply flyering. Getting a nice looking business card and putting it door to door. You know that anyone in a decent neighborhood is a potential to be your customer. And this is something you can also do if you're cleaning someone's home. Flyer the surrounding neighborhood, maybe the surrounding 50 houses, and do that every time you're at that home. That way those people see your card every week or month or so, and they're just establishing that in their brain. So then maybe when they do decide a cleaner later on, you're gonna be the first one in their minds, and make them aware that you're servicing one of their neighbors, because people love the social proof aspect that one of their neighbors or their friends is already using you, and there's much lower risk to using you as well. Another thing you can do is put a little sandwich sign outside the homes that you're cleaning that says something along the lines of like, home cleaning underway, call this number for details or to sign up, something along those lines. That way the neighbors who are driving by every week and see that sign, again, will just be reminded of your service. They see that their neighbor is using you, it's social proof, and it will work for you. It's worked for me in some of my businesses, so I definitely recommend that as well. And then congruent to that, get your car stickered or wrapped or a magnet because you're driving that thing along the road. Thousands of people are seeing that every single day. I know with my moving trucks, we get jobs booked every single day because our trucks look kind of funny, silly, it stands out. So get your logo on your car, make it easy to read, make it understandable what you do with one quick glance, put your phone number on there, make it as easy as possible for the customer to call you, get things set up and scheduled. Now to online marketing, and there's a few ways to do this. Some more time consuming but more effective. Some take less time but are more expensive. So a great way to advertise online is with content marketing. Now this takes a lot of time, but if you put in the time, it'll make it worth your effort. So what this has to do is build your website and then put content on your website. Anything having to do with cleaning. Anytime you come across some unique situation, you write an article about it, you put it on your website. What it does is ranks your website higher for anything having to do with cleaning in your area. And you do this enough, article after article, after year, and you will get ranked higher and higher in the organic search. And try and make these articles as quality as possible. You also could do a video of each article, you cleaning a certain item, put it on YouTube, put that on your website as well. That way you're just putting out that content. And another thing this does is it positions you as an expert in the field. So there will be certain people who search how to clean a certain thing. They find your website, there's an article about this. You have 100 other articles, they're gonna be like, wow, this person's amazing. They know how to handle every single situation. I have to use them. And it allows you to charge a higher price, get better clientele, and build business organically online. What you can also do is run online ads like on Google, Yelp, Facebook. This I don't totally recommend unless you know what you're doing, because there are so many people running ads for the exact same things you are and trying to outbid you, and it's bringing the prices up and up. Not to say you can't make money on it or you won't get a return on investment. I just wouldn't focus all your money on that right away, especially if you have limited funds in the beginning. If you are using online ads, I recommend using very specific keywords and narrowing down your demographic so you're not wasting any money on any keywords that don't have to do with cleaning in your area or people who are within your ideal clientele base. So terms like that, invert it. Think in terms of what someone would be searching when they're looking for a cleaner in their area. So always invert things when you're thinking about marketing. Think about what the customer is thinking or looking for. This isn't to say to not make profiles on these places, because I recommend making a Google My Business profile, make a Yelp profile, make a Facebook page for your business, and put content on those. Keep them established and updated. Ask for reviews from your customers and build those up, because that is another form of social proof and a way to drive business organically without having to necessarily pay ads. Now on to the right way to ask for referrals. Now my favorite way to do this, and what I think is the most effective way to do this, is right after you offer the best service of your life. You go 110% for that customer. Then you ask them what they think of your service. Once they say it's absolutely amazing, that's when you ask either, do you happen to know anyone who I can contact who would love this service as well? Or would you be willing to leave a review for me? Either way, they're helping you in gain future clients. And what I have noticed, once you offer amazing service, clients want to help you out. They want to see you succeed because they want to see a business succeed who's just doing an amazing job. Another thing you could do is offer an incentive. Offer them $40 off each cleaning for every person they refer, or something along those lines. And remember, when you do get reoccurring customers, the lifetime value of that customer is really high, so you are able to spend a little bit more for a referral for a lifetime customer set up on a contract than someone who's just doing a one-time cleaning, because spending something like $40 for a customer who signs up for weekly cleanings is going to earn you thousands of dollars a year in comparison to a one-time cleaning, which might earn you $100, $150 once. So keep that in mind. Reoccurring is definitely worth more, so I would incentivize the end that earns you more money. And that brings me to determining your ideal customer and firing all your other customers. So as you go, you'll find that there are certain customers that take up all your time, effort, energy, and you make no money from them. And then you have this other base of customers who pay on time, they pay more than the other customers, they aren't a headache whatsoever. You want to focus on that group and fire everyone else. This is your ideal group over here, and you want to seek out to find more of them. And by pounding in the time on those customers and offering them the best service possible, you're going to grow your business much faster than if you try and widen your scope and make everyone happy and try and make the customers who don't want to pay as much or cause issues happy. They're not going to help you out in the long run anyway, so focus on that key demographic that earns you the most money, fire everyone else. And this goes the same with employees, which I'll talk a little bit more later. Fire the employees who don't have your best interests in mind and fire them quickly, because those people will just drag down your company, and you'll find you'll have a few people who want to see the business succeed, who do great work. Focus on those people, nurture those people, make sure they're appreciated and understood, and get rid of the bad eggs. And that brings me to the most important part of your company, your employees. If you do end up hiring employees and not just being a solo enterprise, there's a lot you need to know on how to hire them, how to take care of them, how to get rid of the poor ones. So on hiring, I recommend spending a ton of time upfront in finding the best people possible. I use a variety of sources to find people. In person, if I see someone who's working somewhere and offering great service, I will say, hey, are you interested in working somewhere else? Or do you know anyone who's interested in working somewhere else? Hand them a card. It doesn't work out always, but you will get great people that way. I use Craigslist as well. Craigslist is pretty cheap for what you're getting. Depending on the city, it could be anywhere from $20 to $45 for one post, and you'll get several applicants back, especially if you are offering a wage that's higher than the competitors because you want the best of the best. Or you can use Indeed, which is more expensive. This can range anywhere from $5 to $30 a day. The average quality is a little higher on Indeed, but it's not necessarily better overall. And on your employment ad, detail exactly what the ideal employee looks like and be specific. Say things like, we're looking for someone who is available these hours, who is extremely reliable, who is comfortable in being in people's homes, who is comfortable working long hours. Whatever your personal requirements are for your fit for your company, label every single thing and try to disqualify anyone else. That's what we're doing with the employment process, is disqualifying anyone else. And another disqualifier that I love to use is to put instructions on the application process. So if there's, let's say, a group of 20 people that I'm interested in hiring for a certain position, I'll send them all a Google form with 8 to 10 different questions, and include things like, what's something that you learned recently? What's a time that you were excited about your previous job? Things like that. And look for the answers, because you'll find a lot of people will leave certain things blank or kind of have a snarky response to certain things. Put those people aside, because we'll get thoughtful, respectful responses to these, and those are the few that you want to hire. So, out of maybe 100 applicants, that might be whittled down to 10 people who filled the form and 2 who were actually worth hiring. So I definitely recommend this funnel. And then of the 2, give them a phone call first, over the phone interview. Then if they sound good, have them come in for an interview, talk to them again, tell them expectations, and then decide to hire. Like I said, spend the time up front in hiring the best people possible. It'll save you 100 times more work in the back end, not having to deal with trouble in the back end. But I will say, no matter what you do, a couple bad eggs will come through the filter. And what you need to do is you need to spend all your time nurturing and educating and bringing up those amazing employees and get rid of the poor ones as soon as possible, because it's true, a bad apple does spoil the bunch. Someone who comes in with a poor attitude is going to rub off on the other employees. Get rid of that poor employee as soon as possible. It'll make your business skyrocket. The sooner you can learn this, the sooner you don't get attached to, oh, well, maybe they'll get better, the better off you'll be. You'll grow exponentially once you learn that lesson with employees. And I personally recommend having everyone as an actual employee, not a contractor, because I think in the long run, this helps build your brand, helps structure things better, you have more control, and you're just not gonna have to deal with the gray area of independent contractors. So I personally prefer that. You can do either way, but I'm not going to talk about the independent contractor part, because I personally think the building of a brand is more important with the W-2 employees. In order to hire a W-2 employee, you need to have them fill out a W-2 in I-9. There might be specific state forms that you need, and then once per year, you'll have a W-4 form. And you will need legitimate payroll set up as well. So I recommend either having your accountant do this or find a payroll company like a BBSI type company to handle the payroll for you. That way you don't have to worry about it. I personally did my own payroll for a while, and I just got so sick of it because there are so many little intricacies on tax laws and things like that that I didn't want to have to worry about. And I found it way easier to have someone else do that for me sooner than later. And on to my final topic, which is how much can a cleaning company make? And I think you'll be surprised because the cleaning industry does billions of dollars a year, and there are large players in the field. There are cleaners who earn many millions of dollars per year, especially on the commercial end. There's more large players because it takes fewer commercial accounts, but there are residential cleaners and carpet cleaners and things like that who also earn upwards of the millions of dollars a year. Obviously, don't expect to make that right away. I would expect the first year, if you're going hard, to make around $30,000 or $40,000 profit in the first year, because you're going to have a lot of expenses, and then from there you'll scale up and up. So if you're doing everything you can, maybe $100,000 the second year, $200,000 the third year, and work on building those connections and building contracts. And if you're looking to make, let's say $1 million a year with a cleaning business, you probably need something like 300 to 400 clients on the residential end, but really only like 40 or 50 on the commercial end. So that's another thing to weigh. But like I said, it's more intensive to start on the commercial end. So I think this is a potentially wonderful business to get into with low barriers to entry. And I hope that this guide was very helpful to you. Check the description below for links to everything that I talk about. I'm trying to make this as easy and foolproof as possible for anyone to get into the cleaning business who wants to get into this business. And a lot of the references can also be used for other industries, other businesses. I just target this one specifically at cleaning businesses. I might do more of these in the future for other types of businesses. If you want to see me do other ones, let me know in the comments below or send me an email on a certain topic that you want me to do. Also, please like this video because this took a ton of research, a ton of time, a ton of personal experience. So like this video, help me spread the message, and also subscribe to me if you like business content and you like things like this or other experiments that I'm running, things that I'm currently up to in my business. So thank you for watching.